Hey, so good morning, kids. This is Scott, and I'm with Roger and Laura Meyer from Trinity. They're going to help me with our children's message for the Ascension Day. Ascension Day is actually today on Thursday, May 21st, but we're sharing it with you this weekend, which is May 23rd and 24th, because Trinity's celebrating the festival of Jesus' Ascension this weekend. So we are up here at Grandview Drive. This is near where Roger and Laura live. They don't live on Grandview Drive, but they live near here, and they hike over here quite often, which is kind of cool. And I got to go on a hike with them today. And I want to share with you where we're at today. So this is one of the overlook spots at Grandview Drive, and it is a grand view. And you know what? Why it got named that way is because a long time ago, President Theodore Roosevelt was here, and he was sharing up at this spot that this was a grand view, and so they named it Grandview Drive. Well, that kind of led me to think about the story of the Ascension, that first Ascension. And the disciples and Jesus led them out to a mountain, and he shared with them some last instructions, and they had last conversation while he was visibly present with them. But you know what? While that was going on, he blessed them, and then he rose, as we know in that story, not rose from the dead, but rose up into the sky, and his visible presence left them. He ascended into heaven to the right hand of the throne of God, where he is king with all authority and power over the entire creation on our behalf. And the disciples were left there just gazing, like we can gaze out at this wonderful sight. It's cloudy today. We would hope for sun, but really it's a wonderful view of the Illinois River from up here. If you ever get a chance to come up to Grandview Drive and just gaze out, there's different spots. Maybe you've been out here. It's just a nice, calming, wonderful place to be. Lots of adjectives we could use, right, Roger and Laura? It's like, as you gaze, what's an adjective that you might describe this view? Laura?
Magnificent.
Magnificent, Roger?
Just a real wow.
Wow, it is wow. And I think that's what the disciples were doing as well. As they gazed at Jesus ascending into heaven, I'm sure they were like, okay, that's another wow moment. We've had resurrection, we've had miracles, we've had wow. And I think they would have liked to have just stuck there and go, we just want to be a part of the wow. But God sends two messengers, two angels, to kind of tap them on the shoulder and say, you know what? Yes, this is a wow Jesus that we're around. Yes, we love gazing at him. In fact, I'm going to ask you the same thing. If you were a disciple gazing at Jesus, gaze is one of those focus words, what would have come to mind as you look at Jesus? Laura?
He's my friend. Where is he going?
He's my friend. Where's he going?
Wow, he can fly.
Oh, wow, yeah. So those are like, gazing kind of words. But you know what? The angels came and they said, he'll come back that way on his time when he's ready. But I need you to look somewhere else, not just gaze. Gaze is a word that we just kind of stand there and our jaw drops and we go, and I think the angels reminded the disciples, Jesus is always with you. Matthew tells us that, and he's got a mission for you. In Matthew's gospel, we hear, go and make disciples of all nations. And you know what? That's what their mission was. And so, in essence, he had them turn around. Roger and Laura and I are going to turn around and look the other way. And this is now maybe not what we would go as an awesome sight. We wouldn't necessarily gaze this way, although it's the beauty of God's creation up here on Grandview Drive, but it shows us where his mission is at. And his mission is to go and make disciples, to gather and be the body of Jesus living in us. And there's words for that as well. For me, those words would be incredible, that he invites us into that. Roger, as you know that you're invited Jesus to be on his mission, what would come to mind?
Well, our theme for the last few months have been, do we see Jesus, or how do we see Jesus? And I think seeing it in the community, but really seeing it in the face, as I gaze in the face of believers, I see Jesus in you, or I hope people see Jesus in me.
Thank you. Laura, what's your thought as you look this way now of that you're on Jesus' mission?
My friend left, but Jesus is always with us.
Yeah.
We're never alone.
You know, I want Laura to read this passage from Acts for us and to have you think one more time. So I'll have you guys face the camera here one more time. Here from the Acts chapter 1, these verses about Jesus' ascension. Laura?
And when he had said these things, as they were looking on, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. And while they were gazing into heaven as he went, behold, two men stood by them in white robes, and said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into heaven? This Jesus, who was taken up from you into heaven, will come in the same way as you saw him go into heaven.
Thank you very much. And so our time here is done with you today. I'm going to give you one last look of the shot from Grandview Drive. It is a place where you can gaze. You know what? God actually gazes at us, at his people, and then he asks us to gaze out here, out into his world, and to go and do his mission. Thanks again for paying attention. Hope you have a blessed day and keep looking at Jesus.